Okay, so my name is Toluwalase Adedipe, and this is my Buddhism final presentation. My topic that I'm going to be talking about is rebirth. So let's start with rebirth. So would you be surprised to learn that reincarnation isn't actually a Buddhist teaching? So a lot of times whenever people think about like rebirth and reincarnation, they normally tend to think it's the same thing. And reincarnation is normally understood to be the transmigration of a soul to another body after death. But actually, there's no teaching that's similar to this in Buddhism. Um, yeah, and the fact that surprises many people, even some Buddhists, is one of the most fundamental doctrines of Buddhism is anatta or anatman, which means no soul or no self. Basically saying that there is no permanent essence of an individual self that survives death. And so Buddhism doesn't believe in reincarnation. Buddhism doesn't believe that like your same soul in a sense is just like, you know, put into another being or something. It says that there is no permanent essence of an individual's self that survives death. So um Buddhism doesn't believe in reincarnation, such as the way like how it's understood in like Hinduism, but Buddhists do talk about rebirth. So but now here's the question. So we understand what reincarnation means. And then if we say that Buddhism talks about rebirth, not reincarnation, so what is rebirth? And if there is no like soul, or if there is no permanent self, then what exactly is reborn? So going to the next slide, the question, what is reborn? Um, Basically, if you can understand that so basically I'm going to read two quotes from Walpola Rahula. And it says, if we can understand that in this life we can continue without a permanent, unchanging substance like self or soul, why can't we understand that these forces themselves can continue without a self or soul behind them after the non functioning of the body? When this physical body is no more capable of functioning, energies do not die with it, but continue to take some other shape or form, which we call another life. Physical and mental energies, which constitute the so called being, have within themselves the power to take new form and grow and gradually gather the force to the full. It's kind of interesting, even like science backs up the notion that like energy can't be destroyed, it can only be changed into another form. So it's almost the same thing where you have like physical and mental energy that can't be destroyed. So when it dies, when this physical and mental energy dies, that energy itself is just taking a new form. It's like transformed. Um and rebirth and meditation often kind of go hand in hand because the concept of rebirth isn't something that you can just understand like easily. Um while Paula again says that the person who dies here and is reborn elsewhere is neither the same person nor another person. So again, very confusing. That's why Buddhists often push for meditation, because many schools of Buddhism emphasize that meditation needs to enable the intimate realization of the illusion of self. So this concept can seem very, very confusing, but then with meditation and true realization of the illusion of self, you can be free from that illusion and fully understand the concept of rebirth. But in this presentation, I'm going to try and explain the concept of rebirth in general and take you through the motions. So let's understand rebirth and karma. The force that propels this continuity of rebirth, the cycle, if you will, of the being transformed into another state, is known as karma. And karma is another concept that's often misunderstood by the majority of people, by the general consensus of people. Karma isn't fate. So some people tend to say, oh, karma, like what goes around comes around. That's a saying that's very, very popularized in Western culture and in modern day slang. Um, and then, people often say like good karma, bad karma. But then the truth is, the true meaning of karma It's not fate, it's simple action and reaction. And I also think it's very interesting that Buddhism, even Einstein said it himself, that Buddhism is the religion of the future. And it's also very interesting to see that Buddhism has certain concepts that tie in with certain scientific backing and like scientific, um, theories and scientific facts. For example, not too long ago, we talked about how energy can't be destroyed; it can be transformed from one state to another. Kind of that backing up the idea of rebirth with the physical and mental energies. And now here we see that karma is action and reaction, cause and effect, which are very, very huge things in science. Action and reaction is Newton's, I think that's Newton's third law of motion. Every action has an equal and opposite reaction. It's either Newton's second law or his third law. I'm not really sure. But again, I just think it's very interesting how Buddhism has these scientific theories and scientific facts to back up, the Buddhist belief and the Buddhist religion. Um, but yeah, Buddhism teaches that karma means volitional action. If you so basically, let's take that word volitional action and let's split that into two. If you say someone does something out of their own volition, it means out of their own choice, out of their own choosing, out of their own consciousness, out of their own, But if you look at volitional action, an action is, obviously to do something. So volitional action means a chosen action, a chosen, act, a chosen um, thing that you do, a chosen thing that you act out, that you do. And any thought, word, or deed conditioned by desire, hate, passion, and illusion creates karma. So basically, that just to talk about that, it means that anything that you do that's backed up by a certain idea or a certain notion, a certain drive, certain motivation, that creates karma. And when the effects of karma reach across lifetimes, then karma brings about rebirth. It's basically saying that depending on what kind of motivation pushes your actions is going to determine what kind of karma you're going to garner or assimilate. And basically, when you do when you do an action, right, and you accumulate good karma, basically because of that action you're going to receive a good deed or like a good result. That's the whole thing about karma and rebirth. Now, rebirth and samsara are very intertwined. um Basically, early on, now I've kind of talked about rebirth, talked about the thinking behind rebirth, the differences between rebirth and reincarnation. Sorry, the differences between rebirth and reincarnation, differences between karma and like the Western idea of karma, but like the true meaning of karma. And basically, rebirth and samsara are intertwined, as I said to start. So samsara is one of the most important pillars of Buddhist theology, and it's defined as the endless cycle of birth, death, and rebirth. And here we see rebirth coming again. So hopefully I'm going to go into samsara, and hopefully you can really truly understand the whole concept of rebirth, the whole concept of and the difference between that and reincarnation, what like we have, or what like the Western world kind of sees rebirth as. Um, but in this conception of the world, the soul transmigrates after death into a new physical body, and the realm in which the soul is reincarnated depends on the actions in the individual's previous life. Again, tying into karma. So rebirth, karma, and samsara are different lessons in Buddhism, but they're all intertwined. They're all connected. So here we see that the realm in which the soul is reincarnated in depends on the actions of the previous life. So it depends on what kind of karma they're assimilating in the previous life. Again, measured through karma. And one thing that's interesting to note is that the Buddha actually managed to escape samsara, which is very impressive. And so escaping samsara, he was the first person to actually reach enlightenment. So whenever you escape samsara, and in the picture there you can actually see samsara is like a wheel, it's a cycle, so it's actually depicted in a wheel. And then there, in different sections of the wheel, you have the different realms. And once you escape samsara, once you escape this wheel, then you reach enlightenment, which is nirvana. And Buddha was the first person to escape samsara. And every other person, every other Buddhist is looking to get to that point, looking to reach enlightenment, looking to reach nirvana, looking to escape samsara. So now we're going to talk about the philosophy of samsara. And there are actually a lot of questions that can be asked in relation to the samsaric self, in quotes. Buddha teaches us that being bound to consciousness and the self is a distraction. So, in order to break free of samsara, in order to break free from the wheel of rebirth, you need to also break free and from the chains of consciousness and the self. These are the things that distract people from actually reaching nirvana, actually breaking through the wheel of rebirth. It says that one must separate oneself from perception itself. And these are concepts that at face level, at surface value, you can't, it's hard to understand. And that's why Buddhists often really emphasize, as I said earlier, meditation whenever it comes to things like this, whenever it comes to understanding these concepts, understanding these deep concepts. It says that one must separate oneself from perception itself. Fabrications and perceptions about the world we see are just surface level, meaning that there are deeper things, there are deeper meanings, there are deeper explanations to everything. And to understand that, you need to break free from your like the perception that we're used to. It's really hard because you grow up all your life seeing things a certain way, and then Buddhism is trying to, in order to break free, you need to break this habit that you've built for how many years in your life, so that's why it's a very hard thing to learn. That's why Buddhism with meditation and like self-awareness, you need to be aware of the things that you need to stop doing, that you need to break free from. And it's a whole step process. Even with meditation, meditation is a whole other thing with like different forms of meditation, that gives you like different results and everything. So that's like a whole thing on its own. So it's a huge commitment, but then in the end, reaching nirvana, escaping samsara, escaping the wheel of rebirth is worth it in the end. Um, but these perceptions are things that bind us to the physical world, and in order to escape the cycle of rebirth, you need to distance ourselves from them, as I've said earlier. Now, samsara, this wheel of rebirth is divided into sections, as I mentioned earlier. And these sections are also called realms, and there are actually six realms. So the aforementioned endless cycles of rebirth takes place in six different realms of being. Now, which of these realms you're born into is dependent on the weight of your karma. Again, the idea and the concept of karma is coming up again. That's to really buttress and emphasize the fact that these teachings are intertwined. Which of these realms you're born in depends on the weight of your karma. These realms are usually thought of literally or metaphorically, depending on which region of Buddhist followers you ask. So basically, that's saying that sometimes some people will tell you that, oh, these realms are like literal realms, they're like actual places. Some people will tell you that these realms are just like metaphors, just alluding to certain, places, alluding to certain punishments for certain actions, or just alluding to certain rewards for certain actions. That's what that sentence talks about. So now let's talk about the first realm, which is the human realm. The first realm is our current realm of humanity, the earth, if you will. That's where we are. This is one of the three higher realms and considered the best existential realm, as only humans are capable of reaching enlightenment and escaping the rebirth cycle of samsara. So again, for earlier, I mentioned how the different sections of this wheel of rebirth, samsara, and there are six sections, six realms, six different sections. So the human realm is one of the three higher realms. So the six realms are divided into two different like sections or two different classes, if you will, two different scopes maybe. And you have the higher realm, which is like the fortunate realm that some call it the fortunate realm, and then you have the lower realm or the unfortunate realm. And obviously, from the name, you kind of tell the fortunate realms are like the realms that don't necessarily garner any negative or like harmful impact, any pain, if you will, while the um, unfortunate realms are the realms that give pain, the realms that are punishments more to like, for lack of a better word, punishments. We also talked about how it's only in the human realm that a person can attain enlightenment. And I'll talk about that later. But it says a birth in the human realm is considered to be the rarest of them all. This is why Buddha and his teachings so heavily encourage a path to enlightenment in this life. Basically, that just says that to be reborn into the human realm is very, very rare. So a lot of times that's saying that once you first start in the human realm. It's the um first realm that you'll be born into. And once you leave the human realm, it's very, very rare to be reborn into the human realm again. That's why it's really, really like Buddha and his followers really, really enforce and really, really encourage that you seek enlightenment in this realm, because you never know when next you're going to be able to reach enlightenment in this realm. Very, very hard. It's almost impossible to be reborn into the human realm. Again, that's why Buddha and his followers often try to emphasize that. The second realm, actually, let me go back and talk about this a little bit. Liberation from the wheel is possible only in the human realm. The human realm is marked by questioning and curiosity. So, I had forgot, but I said I was going to talk about why it's only why reaching enlightenment is only, or escaping the rebirth cycle of samsara is only attainable in the human realm, and this is why I'm going to talk about it now. But the human realm is marked by questioning and curiosity, inquisition. It is also a realm of passion. Okay. So in the human realm, it's like you have cognizant thinking, right? And this cognizant thinking is marked by questioning, curiosity. You're curious, you're inquisitive, you want to know things. At the same time, it's a realm of passion. It says human beings who are also called manushayas or manushyas want to strive, they want to consume, acquire, enjoy, explore, right? This inquisitive nature of humans is what makes it possible to reach enlightenment, because that inquisitive nature would give you drive to search, to seek things. In the other realms, that drive isn't there to seek answers. That drive isn't there to seek the truth. That drive isn't there. So that's why it's not possible to attain enlightenment in the other realms. But in the human realm, which is marked with again questioning and curiosity and inquisitiveness, inquisitivity, you can that's why you're able to achieve rebirth, or achieve enlightenment rather, in the human realm. The rest become caught up in striving, consuming, acquiring, and they miss this opportunity. Only a few really seek it, but then the ones who do and reach enlightenment are like they have made a good decision in the human realm. Moving on to the second realm, which is the god realm. The god or Deva realm is the second of the three higher realms. So earlier I mentioned how it's the different realms are split into two. So the human realm is one of the fortunate realms or the higher realms, and the god or Deva realm is the second of the fortunate realms or the higher realms. To be reborn in this realm is considered to be an effect of very good karma. This is thought as the heaven realm where no work is needed to be done and one can enjoy all of the pleasures of the earth. So, talk about that. It says here, if you've been a very good person, unfortunately, if you couldn't reach enlightenment in the human realm, but you amassed and you garnered and you attained very, very, very good karma, then you'll be reborn into the God realm, which is like just enjoyment, you can enjoy everything that the earth has to offer, all the good things that the earth has to offer, good food, enjoyment in terms of good health, all those things. You don't need to work, it's just plain relaxation and enjoyment. It says the God realm and the human realm are known as the only two desirable rebirths in samsara, meaning that among all the other four realms, and in total the six realms of samsara, the human realm is one that is desired because obviously this is where you can attain enlightenment. So people would want to be reborn into the human realm. And the God realm is also desired because here, obviously, you've amassed a lot of good karma, and here you're reaping the fruits of your labor. Here you are relaxing. Here it's just all enjoyment. But here's the thing: it sounds very, very good, and again, it says that it's desirable. But personally, I wouldn't even classify it as desirable because all this happiness, all this enjoyment, seems too good to be true, and it is because there is actually a catch when it comes to this. It says all of the freedom in this realm is also dangerous as it can lead to attachment of earthly pleasures. The fact that you don't have to work, you don't have to stress. It's just all relaxation free. It's all relaxation, all stress free. You can easily get attached to all this enjoyment and you wouldn't want to leave. You wouldn't want to leave. You wouldn't want to seek again. And this is why in this realm, enlightenment or achieving enlightenment and escaping samsara and escaping the wheel of rebirth is impossible because you are going to be so attached to all the enjoyments, all the earthly pleasures that you're not even going to want to seek enlightenment. So it says this makes it a realm where spiritual practice and the path to nirvana is complicated to understand. And it's honestly really, really interesting because when you're told about the God realm, it sounds like a nice place to live, and it is because compared to the other realms that we're talking about, especially the lower realms and the unfortunate realms, this is very, very nice. This sounds very, very nice compared to all of those. But then even this realm isn't perfect. You're living a pleasure-filled life. You have wealth, power, happiness, but you're so rich and happy that it's blinding you. You're so rich and happy that they don't recognize the truth of suffering, which is also linked to the Four Noble Truths, the truth of suffering. It's the first noble truth, is the truth of suffering. And then so all this happiness, all this enjoyment it sounds good, but it's actually bad. It's actually the reason why they can't reach enlightenment because they have no motivation to even want to leave. You know, and then eventually, when they end up dying in this realm, when their happy lives end and they actually then they're going to face rebirth in a less happy realm, a realm that's not going to be as good as this. So once their time in this realm ends, then they're going to be faced with a horrible realm. So it's almost like it's almost like a stop before you get to a horrible realm. That's why again Buddha and his followers really, really encourage attaining enlightenment in the human realm before even experiencing any of these other realms. Another interesting thing to note, and then I'm going to use it to segue into the next realm, is that the devas or the gods are actually at war with their neighbors. So, on the right beside the god realm is the neighbors, which are the demigods. Some people call them anti-gods. Some people also call them asuras. And here in the picture, you can actually see on the corner is they're actually charging, they're actually attacking the actual. So they're at constant war. So even though it's all sunshine and rainbows in this realm, there's actually a constant war going on the other side with the Asuras. So this is the demigod realm. Some people also call it the anti god realm. Some people are also known as the Asuras. But the demigod realm or demon realm is the last of the three higher realms. In this realm, you are reborn as a demon who are complete opposites and enemies of the gods from the god realm. They are dominated by greed and anger, and some Buddhists even believe that they can harm humans. So, this is very interesting. This says that it's one of the higher realms, but if you notice, the things that can make you be born into this realm are bad deeds, which is very interesting. Why is it that bad deeds are putting you in a realm that's classified as a higher, as a as a higher realm or a fortunate realm? That's because even still in this realm, you're in constant you're in constant fight, you're in a constant fight, right? Your deeds may have been bad, but you also may have amassed good karma to where you don't need to be in the unfortunate realms, right? And you can be in this realm that's, still okay in a sense. But here you're still very, very dominated by anger and greed, and you're fighting. It says that it's believed by some that a lot of hate and jealousy causes rebirth in this realm, as the demons are always desiring to be superior to others, having no patience for inferiors. You're so greedy, so jealous, you want to be superior, right? And that's what's driving you. And these are all bad traits, these are all bad motivators, you know. So it says, um, these people are also constantly at war with the devas, and they think so. These asuras believe that they're supposed to be in the god realm, right? Again, that whole superiority complex, that whole I am the best, I need to be better. I'm so focused and so obsessed with being better than everyone. So they believe that they're supposed to be in the God realm, and then they're fighting to actually get into the God realm. It says, although here it seems the Asuras have formed a line of defense and are fighting the attacking devils with bows and arrows. It says, and in some depictions of the wheel of rebirth, this was something that I thought was very interesting that I wanted to include, is that sometimes it says there is a beautiful tree growing between the two realms, and the roots and trunk are in the Ashura realm, but its branches and fruits are in the God realm. I thought this was very interesting because this shows how it almost looks like the roots are where the tree gets its nutrients from, right? And then the fruits are obviously the products, and the enjoyment, the good things that come from the tree. So this depiction, not only does it kind of show how in the God realm they're all enjoying, and how in the Ashura realm it's more of like a struggle. It almost kind of justifies the Ashura's thinking of where the gods are benefiting off of the Asherahs, so it can kind of justify this war that they're having between themselves, which I thought was very interesting as well. Moving into the fourth realm, we have the hungry ghost realm. So now we're getting into the lower realms, or the unfortunate realms. It says the fourth realm is the domain of the pretas, also otherwise known as restless spirits and hungry ghosts. This is the first of the three lower realms, as I said, the unfortunate realms. To be reborn here is considered a consequence of heavy attachment to human life, often for people who were very ungenerous towards everyone. They are known as hungry ghosts, as they are beings with huge, empty stomachs, but they have tiny mouths and their necks are so thin they cannot swallow food. They have an unrelenting hunger and thirst that can never be satisfied. Um, this is honestly so unfortunate, and it says that this is to be reborn here is considered a consequence of a heavy attachment to human life. People who are very ungenerous towards people. So again, that whole greed, that whole jealousy, you want to keep everything to yourselves. And that's why in this realm, they're hungry. They want so much, but they're never satisfied. In their human life, they wanted so much and were never satisfied. So that is just exaggerated in this hungry ghost realm as a punishment. That okay, while you were human, you were so greedy, you wanted everything, but you were never satisfied with what you had. And then now we're going to give you that same thing, but we're going to exaggerate it so you really, really see how horrible of a person you are. It says, greed and jealousy lead to rebirth as a hungry ghost. If you think now, if you kind of go back to the Ashura realm, the demigod or anti god or demon realm that we just spoke about, these are the same things that are going to put you in the like the same qualities that will put you in that realm. So why is there a difference? Why is it that greed and jealousy can lead you to rebirth in the hungry ghost realm, but it can also lead you to rebirth in the anti or the demigod realm? Why? I'll explain that now. It says, um, it is thought that the karma of their lives was not quite as bad enough for a rebirth in the hell realm, but not good enough for the astral realm. So that's the reason why the hungry ghost realm exists. Because the karma of their lives, they obviously they still have that same greed and jealousy that the people in the demigod realm have. But then they don't have enough good karma to put them that, like, that one step above, to put them in the demigod realm. So at least they're in one of the fortunate realms. At least they don't have to suffer what they're going to suffer in the hungry ghost realm. But then they don't have enough bad karma to where they're going to put in the hell realm to suffer, for however long they would be suffering in there for. I thought that was a very interesting thing to add there. It says hungry ghosts are associated with addictions, compulsions, and obsessions. People who have everything but always want more, never satisfied. Moving into the fifth realm, we have the hell realm. The hell realm is the second of the three lower realms, or the unfortunate realm, and is considered the worst realm of them all. And once I tell you what goes on in this realm, you would probably agree with me. It says, rebirth in this realm is seen as a reflection of terrible karma, not just bad karma, terrible karma. And as a result of this terrible karma, you're going to see the horrible and the completely agonizing pain that these people have to go through. It says, in the hell realm, beings are subject to terrible torture in several different realms. The hell realm is separated into 16 regions of hell. Eight are hot and eight are cold. So this is contrary to like the general Western idea and belief of hell just being one place of fire and brimstone. It says here it's separated into 16 different regions, and half of those 16 are hot while the other half are cold. And it says each region demonstrates a different and increasing torture, right? And additionally, the lifespan in each region increases the deeper you go. Basically, it's like levels. The first level, you don't spend as much time, and then once you serve your time there, you get reborn into a different realm. And then, but if you're on the deep one, then the amount of time you spend there is longer, basically. So you have to suffer a lot more. It says hell beings are recognized by their acute aggression. Fiery hell beings are angry, so the people that were put in the fiery region of the hell realm, they're angry and abusive, very abrasive as well, and they drive away anyone who would befriend them. But the icy hell beings are known to shove others away with their unfeeling coldness. And then because of this isolation that they feel in the freezing aspects of the hell realm, then their aggression then turns towards themselves because they have no one else to blame, and then they end up becoming very self-destructive, which is interesting. The sixth realm, the final realm I'll talk about, is the animal realm. The animal realm is the last, excuse me, the animal realm is the last of the three lower realms. Rebirth as an animal is considered a lower rebirth. As an animal being, you have no consciousness. All you have are pure primal instincts to eat, attack, and survive. So being reborn as an animal, I know even me personally, before I took this class, I had this idea of like reincarnation, be like, oh, I would like to be reborn as like an eagle. I was thinking like, no, I can fly. Like I felt like as an eagle, like maybe if I had the consciousness of a person, I know what I'm doing, I can fly. I could just, but actually what we see is all you have is pure animal instincts. Basically, you're not even in control of your actions. You just do things due to instincts. You're not in control. You don't have that cognitive reasoning that you would have as a human. It says, thus you have no opportunity to learn and reach enlightenment. This also makes it so you basically only acquire negative karma. It is very rare to generate positive karma in an animal form. So it's saying that anything you do, because of that intention, you don't have those that because obviously we know that karma is built up by whatever intention that you have. So if you have good intentions, build up good karma. If you have bad intentions, you end up garnering bad karma. But if you see the fact that your only instinct is to survive, right? You're only thinking about yourself. So any act that you do is only going to be selfish. You're trying to only, you know, gratify yourself. And that's why it's really only possible to acquire negative karma. But then it's also very, very rare to acquire positive karma in the animal realm. And it's very rare because it's honestly by accident. There's actually an example when a troop of monkeys offered a bowl of pure honey to Buddha, and the monkey died. And because of this offering to Buddha, he was actually reborn into the God realm. You see? So it's like it was an accident. The monkey didn't know what he was doing, but the act of kindness that he unintentionally showed put him gave him rebirth in the God realm. So that's all for my presentation. Hopefully, I was able to, first of all, distinguish between reincarnation and rebirth, take you through the process of rebirth, also, tying in the relationship between rebirth and karma at the same time, between rebirth and samsara, and, just clear up the idea for you. This is my works cited page, and thank you.